Hello! I'll introduce our guests who like fighting. Evin, a guy. He's special. Josiah and Carson. Josiah thinks the chimney sweep is the worst job of history. But Carson has a different opinion and thinks that the powder monkeys suck. And it's the worst job in history. Evin thinks the mule scavenger is the worst job in history. Oh, my opinion is a chimney sweep for many different reasons. Well, anyways, on to me our test. Drop. Okay. Anyways, alright. Let's talk about our first guest of the show, Evin.
The 5 worst jobs in history.
Not yet. Okay. Okay, Evin, how you doing?
Not good.
Okay. Well, so we're talking about the 5 worst jobs in history. Which one do you think is the worst one and why?
The mule scavenger.
Oh.
Out of the 5 worst jobs in history were pretty scarring. Most of the children that worked them either didn't make it to adulthood or made it to adulthood with many diseases. Or just crippled. Or wheelchairs. But out of all of them, the mule scavenger was probably the worst. Mainly because it was a factory job. Nobody likes factories. And, most of their life was pretty threatening. The children were mostly abused and often pretty ill. They had to do a lot of really interesting things. To begin with, they had to climb under factory working machine thingies. I don't know what they're called. They were used to spin cotton, I'm pretty sure. Cotton wheels. And as they crawled under there to get the cotton bobber thingy-bobbles, they also had the risk of getting their head brutally crushed to the ground and getting scalped. Mainly, they had to crawl on the ground and hug it like a bear. But most of the time they were crushed. They also were exposed to a lot of moving parts. The moving parts were never covered for some reason, and the risk was pretty high, like their managers. But they were often bought from poor families and orphanages. In conclusion, it's the worst job.
Hey! Thank you, Evan. Okay. It is now time to meet our second guest of the show. Carson. Josiah.
Nope. Okay. The worst job was the chimney sweep. Bro, what?
Okay. Josiah, how are you doing?
Good, I guess, bro.
Okay. So, what do you think is the worst job of history?
The chimney
And why?
sweep. Because
Okay.
it's like, they go in chimneys and they get put on fire.
Okay. Well, I need a reasonable answer.
Okay. So, the worst job was the chimney sweep because they had to climb in chimneys where the chimney was twisted, and sometimes they would just die of lack of oxygen. And yeah, it was like hard to climb up, and then they would put fires underneath the chimney sweeps so they would go faster. And sometimes like they would send other kids to poke their butts. And yeah, that's why I think it's the worst.
Okay, thank you, Josiah. Now for our third and final guest, bonus guest, just so you guys know, Carson.
I think a powder monkey is the worst job because they carry explosives on their back. They're always in the middle of battle and they could explode. The powder monkey was the worst because they were in the middle of battles 24/7. They also were very young. Some kids were 7 years old. Another reason powder monkey was the worst job because of all the loud noises, which could lead to hearing loss and affect them later in life. You could say they had it easy and that the chimney sweeps had it harder because they could get stuck in the chimney. Although that may be true, they can send someone else to go get them. This is why I think the powder monkey is the worst job for kids in the 1800s.
Okay, thank you, Carson, and thank you all our guests for coming here and our listeners.